Hello everyone and welcome. It's Chef Jason Morse, your Ace Hardware Grill expert, and today we are talking about something totally awesome on this edition of Ace This Recipe. That's right, we're doing an Asian style honey glazed ribs. The cool thing about this recipe too is you can do spare ribs if you like spare ribs, or you can do baby backs. It works great either way because we've got the big green egg delivering all of that charcoal and smoke flavor to this recipe today. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for cooking with us today. We really appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about what we are doing and some of the ingredients we're going to use today. So we're going to use a little bit of oil, right? We're going to drizzle just a little bit of oil onto the back of these baby back ribs and on the front of the ribs just to help that rub stick a little bit. We're going to use a little bit of Tiki Tiki today. That's going to give us that island style flavor. We're doing a little Happy Ending, a little Asian style barbecue, and a little bit of fire honey. The star of the show, right? These guys right here. Some beautiful, beautiful baby backs. What did I look for when I saw these in the grocery store? Well, I'm looking for a lot of meat. I'm looking for good marbling as well because I want a little bit of that pork fat flavor, and these guys looked absolutely fantastic. So while we're cooking today too, we're gonna use our little sprayer. We've got some apple cider in here, and we're gonna do a little apple cider mist on these. The great thing about this recipe today, we are gonna do these for about 4 to 5 hours on the big green egg. And why do I say 4 to 5? Because really, that last hour is gonna determine if you like that rib with a little bit of pliability and a little bit of pull or a little bit of chew, or if you wanna take them a little bit longer and you like that fall off the bone rib. We are going with a nice chew, a nice pull, and a really good texture today. So next up, let's show you how we get the big green egg started and get that loaded with some wood chunks. We're gonna use sugar maple today to give us a really good flavor as well. So thanks for joining us. Let's get cooking. So I filled the big green egg up with lump charcoal, and then what I did was pulled everything to the side, and I'm using my LooftLighter today. You can absolutely use speedy lights as well, those work. I'm gonna use the Looft, and what I'm trying to do is get a really nice fire burning in the middle. Now, not too hot because I want this to hover about 250 degrees, so I don't wanna get it so hot that I'm having an issue bringing the temperature down. So you can see now that it's lit, we'll pull the LooftLighter back just a little bit and we'll start to drive that fire. Why I like it in the middle is it allows me now, once that fire's set, it allows me to start putting this charcoal down here. But the cool thing is I've got a nice little hot spot in the middle that will go down and out and keep this fire really well sustained. Then, once we get the fire going and everything is set, we're gonna use some Ozark sugar maple chunks, and we'll put some chunks kind of throughout here and right in the middle as well. And the goal, again, keeping that temperature right at that 250 degrees, but building up an awesome amount of smoke so that our ribs can enjoy a really good charcoal smoke flavor for the 4 to 5 hours that they take to cook. Okay, we have a nice strong fire going, and as you can see, I added some of the sugar maple chunks. We're getting a nice little bit of smoke. Now we'll go ahead and get that plate setter put in there, and we'll also go ahead and get our grill grate on there as well. Then we're gonna close it, and we're slowly gonna adjust our regulator just to let this start to creep up into that 250 degree range. We have the bottom open about 1 inch as well. We just, again, wanna keep this a very slow and low heat. We don't wanna go over 250. Okay, time to peel the membrane off these ribs. We've got this one already peeled and set and ready to go. You can see this little membrane here, nice slippery little membrane. Use a paper towel to help hold on to it, but what we're gonna do is take a knife, and I'm just gonna use a plastic knife. You can use a dull butter knife as well, and I'm just prying under here a little bit. You can see I kind of lift and wiggle and lift and wiggle and lift and wiggle. Then I'm gonna get my finger under there and grab a hold of that membrane, and I'll use a paper towel as well. Help me get a better grip. This is probably the most fun part of the whole rib process, right? But once you get it started, it pulls nice and easy as well. And there you go. Okay, membrane is peeled. We've got 1 rib seasoned. Let me show you real quick what we're gonna do on this second one here. We're gonna add a little bit of oil to this just to act as kind of a binding agent, right? We want just enough on here, just a thin coating so that it helps the rub stick. Now, we're gonna go as light or as heavy as we prefer. You know, we always talk about that when it comes to seasoning. All right. We're using a little bit of this Tiki Tiki Rub. That's gonna give us a beautiful little heat. We say it's got a kick of the volcano with a taste of the island. So now we'll let that sit for just a minute, then we'll flip it over, and we're gonna do the same thing on the backside. I prefer to use oil. I am not a mustard guy. You can use mustard if you like. I know some people that will do a little bit of barbecue sauce to start as a binder. I just like a little bit of oil. It's very neutral. I don't have to worry about it imparting any extra flavor on there at all. So this is seasoned. This is seasoned. Now I'm gonna stack these guys and we're gonna let them sit. I'll let these guys go for about 12 hours, all seasoned up and ready to go. I'll wrap these in plastic, pop them in the fridge. Then right before we go back onto the big green egg and we start cooking these guys, I'll look at the seasoning, see how well it's absorbed into those ribs, and I may bump it up just a little bit more. So next up, we are gonna get these guys in the fridge and get them wrapped. And then when we come back, we're gonna get them on the big green egg. Okay, we are sitting right at 250. As you can see, we've added a drip pan in here as well. Not necessarily to catch any of the pan drippings, but so we can add some apple cider in here to create a little bit moisture, a little bit more moisture for us as well. So let's go ahead and get these ribs added in here. I'm gonna go straight over the middle, just like so. Now we're gonna close it and pay attention to our dials, right? We'll pay attention to the top adjustment and the bottom adjustment and make sure we keep this guy hovering right at 250. Now, I am not gonna touch these guys for another hour. Then at the 1 hour mark, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to spray them every hour with some apple cider, just fresh apple cider. That will help some moisture retention as well. So we'll let these guys go. We'll come back and check them after hour number 1. Here we are 1 hour in, and look at that, holding temperature beautifully. And you can see where we have the top adjusted. Let's take a peek real quick. We don't wanna go too long, but we're gonna give them a spray with a little bit of our apple cider, just to add a little bit of moisture, and we'll get that closed. We are 2 hours in. Let's give these guys another spray with apple cider, and I'll tell you what, we are getting exactly what we're looking for. Look at that beautiful color. Look at that beautiful bronzing. Wow, these are fantastic. So we're gonna keep this shot. All right, we are hour number 3 on these ribs. We're gonna give them another little spray here, and now we're gonna start looking for tenderness. So we're checking tenderness. We're also looking to see if the meat is pulling away from the bones a little bit, and we're starting to get just a tiny bit more of that. So we're gonna give this a close, and at hour number 4, we're really gonna start watching for that meat to pull away from the bones. All right, let's take a look. Here we are. Oh man, here we are at hour 4. So I'm gonna spray these guys down a little bit, right? And now what I'm gonna do is hit it with a little bit of fire honey, right? So this is just our spicy honey. And I'm gonna base this on there, let it melt nice and fine. A little bit on this big guy over here as well. And as it melts, I'm brushing this onto the rib, giving a nice little shellac of beautiful fire honey. So this is gonna be cool because this is gonna add a nice little bit of heat. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and let that glaze for a couple minutes. So I'm gonna shut this, we'll let it glaze. Then when I come back, we're gonna finish this with the Happy Ending BBQ Sauce. Fire honey is glazed. We are set and ready to go. Now we're gonna hit it with a little Happy Ending BBQ Sauce, and the same thing here. We wanna just baste it. We want it to glaze. I'm not looking for, horribly wet, soupy. I want just a nice coating on here so that when I shut this and give it that last 2 or 3 minutes, we get a perfect glaze on here. Now, I tested these guys for doneness, and they are exactly what I want. We have a nice little bit of resistance when you pull the ribs. We're not looking for fall off the bone ribs here. We're looking for ribs with a little bit of texture in them. So that is our glaze. We are set to go. Now we're gonna shut it and give them probably 5 minutes to glaze. But next up, we're going to the cutting board, and it's time to finish these guys. Well, I tell you what, definitely worth the amount of time and effort you put into these ribs. These guys took about 4.5 hours total on the big green egg, and we made sure that we took time to baste them and spray them with apple cider to keep them nice and tender and nice and juicy. Hey, today's recipe, head down below and click on the title right under the video. Click on the title of the ribs, and it will expand that section, and you can download. We have a link there for you. You can download this recipe so you can click, print, and follow along. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you'll be notified when our next Ace This Recipe video is live. That's right, we're coming to you every single Thursday this year with a recipe designed to make you a legend in the backyard cooking circuit. And while you're down there, hey, feel free to leave us comments. All right, so now that these ribs are done, it is time for quality control. This is where I have to take it for the team and try these ribs to make sure they're extra fantastic. But look at that. That is absolute magic. I'm Chef Jason Morris, your Ace Hardware Grill expert. Thanks so much for joining us for today's edition of Ace This Recipe. I'm gonna get after this rib here real quick. And, oh man, so good. We'll see you next week on another edition of Ace This Recipe.